Hello everybody and welcome to a new video by Reviews on Anything. My name is Peter and today we're having a look at a sanding tool from a company called WORX. Now, to give it its full name, this is the WX820L, which is a handheld multi-sander with multiple heads, and it is battery powered. That's what the 20 stands for. This is the 20-volt architecture that they have for their whole range. And as you can see here on the box, it is sort of an all-in-one kit that is supposed to meet all your sanding needs. This is really your one-stop shop box. You get the different sanding heads and all the sanding papers included right away as well as the 20-volt battery and a charger. So really you can pick this up and get going right away with pretty much any kind of sanding job you have. Now, let's go over all the items in the box. You can see the various sanding papers belonging to the various shapes. Here's a few more. And in the middle, obviously, you see the machine itself. Now, the machine is based on their 20-volt architecture battery system. Like I said, you get the battery and the charger in the box, and this battery works with all their tools. Pretty much anything from leaf blowers to power drills and everything in between. This battery is universal across the range, so that's great. This is the 2 amp hour battery that you get included, and I can tell you right from the get-go that is not enough for this tool. It's great that it comes in the box, but it is just not powerful enough for prolonged use. We'll get back to that in a bit. You get a nice clip for your vacuum system if you have one. You can just attach it to the back where that little bag is. That's the dust collection bag. And then we move on to the different heads. Pretty standard stuff, I suppose. You have the triangle one, the circular one, and you have the square one that's already on the machine. And then you have this extra tongue for small nooks and crannies, and a round one if you're trying to do specific jobs. And that's all you get included in the box. The box itself is a nice place to store everything, but it is rather tight, so you have to remember how to put everything in to make sure it fits. Now, this is the dust collection bag. Like I said, you can just pop that off, and that's where all the dust from the sanding will collect. If you prefer a vacuum system, you can just attach it here, and then you're good to go for a dust-free working environment, which is obviously very nice, especially when you're using this on a job indoors where you have limited ceiling. Then that's a great thing to do. Pretty easy to operate. You know, the machine itself is not very big. Even when you slot the battery in the back like here, it's a very compact machine, feels good in the hand. Up here you have the control toggle for on and off, pretty simple, nothing too fancy there. And then there's a dial that you can see here, speeds 1 to 6, where you can actually adjust your sanding speed depending on the job you're doing and what you're trying to achieve. So that's actually great. That's really all the variety you need to get a good sanding job done. And overall, because the machine is nice and compact, you know, it's not weighing you down or anything. So it's easy to carry with you on the job, but also just to work it without getting very tired. So that's actually great overall. The design here on the front is sort of a rubberized, which will get very dusty because it attracts a lot of the dust that will inevitably be associated with sanding, but it is a good place to hold and sort of operate the sander with 2 hands. You get this nice square one included for putting up the square sanding paper, so that's actually quite nice. So it lines up nicely with the holes on the sander. And overall, like I said, it's a machine that's easy to use and feels pretty good in the hand due to its compact size. And obviously, because it is battery operated, you have a lot of freedom of movement, which is great. But that does come with the limitations of a battery, and like I said before, this 2 amp hour battery is just not big enough for prolonged use. Now, the unique system here on the WORX sander is the way you attach and let go of the sanding heads. So there's a little flip here on the top that you can open up, and then you sort of screw the whole head off, which is actually not complicated at all. It takes no time, no tools mostly, which is important, and then you can just pop a new sanding head on. So I'll take the rotating one here. Obviously, the square one doesn't rotate, but the circular one does. It all has Velcro, by the way, so you know it's super easy to put a new sanding paper on, as long as you make sure that you line up the holes properly for proper extraction of the dust. But once you've done that, it's just a matter of popping it back on. So for this circular one in particular, it is important that you sort of turn it into place a little bit to begin with. So you can see I'm lining up the screw with the hole in the sanding head, and then you just roll it into place, and then you use the lever here on the top for the final tightening, which is obviously key to make sure you have a solid base to work with. You tighten it, and then you just pop it back into place here up top so it doesn't get in the way, and you're off. So that is actually pretty sweet. Job changing on the job is really a no-brainer, and it is nice and quick. Now obviously I'm going to show you a little demonstration of how the sander looks like while working. So here I'm sanding a little coffee table. You can see I have the rotating circular sanding head on it with the battery on the back. Super easy one-handed operation due to the compactness of the device itself. And like I said, also it doesn't weigh much. You can see I'm using two hands thanks to the rubberized texture on the front. All super easy. You can really put proper pressure on it when you dial up the speed a bit. And overall it is just a very easy machine to operate, and it's an easy machine to also operate for longer periods of time. But for that you are gonna need the bigger battery, like I've said already. The batteries really are great for power tools or anything, because it gives you a lot of mobility and a lot of flexibility. But for a prolonged use, like with a sanding machine that is just on all the time while you're doing it, you really need to go for a 4 or 5 amp hour battery, and probably multiple batteries if you have a pretty big job to do. So for a power drill, this 2 amp hour battery is fine, but for anything that you are using prolonged amounts of time, like a sanding machine, you really need to have more batteries and higher capacity batteries as well. Now the battery capacity itself doesn't take anything away from the machine, I think. I mean, you can always buy bigger batteries, and it is nice that they already include a battery in the box, I think, especially when you are already invested in the WORX ecosystem. Like I said, that all works with this same battery architecture. It does always nice to have an extra battery in place, and when you have several of these batteries anyway, then you can also use a sander with the battery, because if you have a bunch of batteries in the charger and a bunch of batteries on your tools, you can always rotate as you go along, which is great. And that actually is part of the idea behind the whole ecosystem, that it's one battery for all the tools, and you just rotate the batteries as you go along, meaning you don't need a single battery for every device, because you're not using them all at the same time. But you can rotate them and keep half of them charged at least. And then a job like this with a sander also becomes no problem, because you can just switch out batteries as you run out and then pop it back in the charger. The machine itself is great. Nothing really to fault there. I'm supposing it's not the most powerful solution in the world, because obviously when you get a corded machine, you can put just a lot more power through it, so you get a more powerful device, but then you lose a lot of the flexibility and mobility with a device like this. And also I think for the compactness that it has, it is certainly powerful enough. Not really sure if you want to take this tool like to the job site, but for in and around the house, like I use it, it is certainly perfect. And what I like about this kit in particular is that it is really, like I said in the beginning, your one-stop shop. You can pick this up and get going right away. It has everything you need, even if you're not in the WORX ecosystem yet. This is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up. This was Peter from Reviews on Anything, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers!